What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check package and third stimulus check update. The U.S. House of Representatives early this morning passed the third stimulus check package. That's right, around 2 a.m. in the morning, this morning, Eastern Standard Time, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the third stimulus check package with a vote of 219 yeses, all Democrats, to 219 noes. Not a single Republican voted for the third stimulus check package. 2 Democrats also voted no, which made 99% of the Democrats voting for this yes, and it passed the House of Representatives. It now goes to the U.S. Senate, where they need to pass it in the Senate. First, we're going to listen to Representative Jayapal, who is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, on how they're going to pass the next stimulus package in the Senate, as well as upcoming stimulus packages after this one. The next stimulus package has already been announced and is called the Build Back Better package, and will be between $2 and $3 trillion, and will likely be more money than the third stimulus check package. Here is Representative Jayapal on how they're going to pass this in the Senate. She starts by talking, it's cut off a little bit at the beginning, on why, if and when and how the $15 an hour minimum wage will be included in this bill.
So I haven't given up on the fight yet. I believe that it can still be included in the bill. If it isn't included in the bill, I just think Democrats have a crossroads in front of us. We have to recognize that we made a promise to voters, Black, brown, indigenous, poor, working class voters in Georgia and across the country, that we were going to make a significant difference in lifting the floor for people across this country. And we have to decide if we're going to use every tool in our toolbox. That is including it now in the relief bill, or it is reforming the filibuster. Because unfortunately, Republicans are intransigent when it comes to many of these policies, and they're not looking like they're going to listen to the people, including Republicans who want a minimum wage increase. And so we can't go back, as I said, to voters and say, sorry, the arcane Senate rules told us we couldn't do what we promised. They gave us majorities in the House and the White House.
Yeah, folks earning $9 an hour, $8 an hour, they're not really going to make sense of that argument. Kind of weird, though, because there aren't that many broad policies that have this much support. It's across the board. And in fact, in many states where they've elected Republicans across the board or statewide, they've also enacted higher minimum wage increases. So at some point, this becomes impossible for some people to reconcile why Republicans won't support a minimum wage increase. The federal minimum wage in this country is $7.25 an hour. It's about $15,000 a year if you work full time.
That's right. It's $15,000 a year, and that's if you're lucky enough to even get that. I mean, I just talked to a home care worker in West Virginia who is looking after people with autism, and Allie, he's earning $12,000. Okay, $12,000. He can't buy a new car. He can't take care of himself. And I think this is the struggle that so many people across the country are facing. And that's why a state like Florida that went for Donald Trump in November also passed with a supermajority of voters a $15 minimum wage. And this is long overdue. It's been 12 years since the federal minimum wage has been raised, as you said. It was 2012 when fast food workers first went on strike with the Fight for 15. It was 2014 when my city, Seattle, became the first major city in the country to pass a minimum wage. And here we are almost 10 years later talking about a phased-in minimum wage to 15 over the next 5 years. So this is urgent, and we just have to deliver on this promise.
Yeah, they said Seattle was going to be wiped off the face of the earth for that. All the jobs would leave and Seattle would collapse. Didn't quite happen that way. Congresswoman, good to see you as always. Thank you for taking time to join us tonight. Pramila Jayapal is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi gives us an update on the third stimulus check package and what to expect going forward. In a press release today, she says, this morning, President Biden graciously called to thank us for passing the American Rescue Plan. As I convey his appreciation to you, I do so with great pride in the commitment and courage of our caucus to meet the needs of the American people. Late last night, actually early this morning, it was 2 a.m. in the morning, we passed the American Rescue Plan. The Congress took a monumentous step forward to ensure that, as President Biden promised, help is on the way. It is a spirit of great gratitude that I congratulate our dazzling chairs, members of staff for their masterful, timely, and value based leadership in bringing this very important moment to the American people. The American Rescue Plan is coronavirus centric. It delivers the decisive action that families and small businesses demand and need. This package puts vaccines in people's arms, puts money in workers' pockets, and puts children safely back in school and puts people back to work. It does so by honoring our heroes with state and local funding. Some of this state and local funding will actually come back around to you guys in the form of state and local stimulus checks and stimulus packages on mortgage and rental assistance on the state level. As you know, we just seen California and Maryland passed statewide stimulus checks for certain low income earners of $600 in California and $300 and $500 checks in Maryland. There will be more of this coming around from this third stimulus check package. She says, as you know, this package will be transformative, lifting 12 million Americans out of poverty, generating $1.25 for every dollar spent, and making historic progress for our children and country by cutting child poverty in half. As we send this legislation to the Senate, the House will continue to fight for a $15 an hour minimum wage, which would give 27 million American workers a raise. The minimum wage increase is a financial necessity for our families, an effective stimulus for our economy, and a moral imperative for our country. This is an issue of values for us. We will seek a solution consistent with the Senate rules, and we will do so as soon as possible. Updates will be ongoing. Thank you for your patriotic leadership, which is making a difference, saving the lives and livelihood of the American people. After the vote that passed in the House this morning, we have Democrats calling for more bipartisanship from Republicans, as not a single Republican voted yes on the third stimulus check package. And on the other side, we have Republicans saying, you're passing this bill without us and without our consent. So we have Democrats begging for Republican support and Republicans saying, you're passing this bill without our support. So you make heads or tails of that for me, but it's pretty safe to say that if Mitch McConnell was still the Senate Majority Leader, we'd be having a very, very different discussion on stimulus right now. It's very likely that they would be passing a skinny bill. We did see a counter proposal by some Republicans in the Senate, not Mitch McConnell, but Mitt Romney and crew, of only a $600 billion stimulus package for this package. That would have been less than 1/3 of the amount of this current package. That did include $1,000 stimulus checks, but not for children or adult dependents. Obviously, $1,000 is less than $1,400, but still somewhat close. But it was basically the stimulus checks and not much else. Money for vaccines and some money for schools, but that was it. No unemployment extension, smaller checks for children, not $1,400 checks. No mortgage or rental assistance, utility assistance, no money for SNAP, WIC, and EBT. Basically, a very skinny bill. And honestly, the Republicans kind of countered with that because at that point, this was about a week or two ago that they made that counter proposal, and Biden told them, no, that's way too small. They really made that counter proposal because they seen that Biden and the Democrats were going to pass this larger $1.9 trillion stimulus package. So honestly, we might not have had a proposal at all from the Republican side. And when they were kind of forced to give one, they gave us one for less than 1/3 the price. So if the Democrats had not won both those seats in the Senate, whether you like it or not, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or you lean left, right, or center, we'd be having a very, very different discussion today about the third stimulus check package. It's likely we would have a third stimulus check, but it probably would be more along the smaller checks that the Republicans offered as their counter proposal. And honestly, it probably would have taken longer because the Republican stance has kind of been wait and see what the previous packages are doing, the money that's left to be spent from the previous packages, and then we'll talk about the next package. So it's likely that they wouldn't have been, I mean, Biden's been in office for about a month now, and they just passed the bill in the House, and now it goes to the Senate, of which they're going to try to pass it as soon as possible. Probably. It really just depends on how they're going to do it. Are they going to change the wording on the minimum wage bill? Are they going to try to overrule the Senate parliamentarian and just push it through as is? If they change the wording in the bill, the Senate can pass it if they get all the Democratic votes, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. If they don't get all the votes, they may have to take the minimum wage out completely. But if they change the bill and they modify it and they do get all the votes, then it goes back to the House, and the House will literally vote on it the very next day. We've seen this in the past when they've done amendments, and the House, once they already have the passed bill, they'll send it back to the House, and they literally vote on it the next day. So it's literally like a 12-hour delay. In the big scheme of things, it does not really delay things at all. So once they pass it in the Senate, if it's a different version, the House will literally pass it within the next 12 hours. Sometimes they do it the same day. Most of the time, it's the next day if they have a late voting, which, as you see, they've been doing a lot of these crazy late votings where they're literally up till 2 a.m. And you see like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi like falling asleep at the wheel. It's 2 a.m. and they're in their 80s, and I mean, at least they're doing some work, right? At least they're there till 2 a.m. and voting. And it would have been done sooner, but the Republicans actually tried to pass a motion to table it and to basically send it back down to the subcommittees to discuss it and go over it again. And the Democrats voted no on it. So that would have actually delayed the bill even more. And of course, all the Republicans voted for it, and all the Democrats voted against it. So that tabling of the bill did not happen. It's kind of crazy to just see how very different they are. I mean, you talk to a Republican in Congress and they're like, "We don't need another stimulus bill. We don't need a check. We don't need anything. What are you guys, crazy?" And then you hear the Democrats saying, "Are they crazy? We're in like the worst economic stance we've been in for years. Like, how could we not pass more stimulus?" And every economist says we need more stimulus now. Like every economist, virtually every economist, of course you can never say every, but they all say now is the time to spend money because it'll get us out of the recession, out of the depression faster. In 2008, it took over 4 years for employment to get back to where it was. And a lot of people say now, because they didn't pass enough stimulus back then. 2008, 2009 was really the first time we've seen kind of the new era of the government stimulus packages. And had they done that back in 1929, we wouldn't have had an over 10-year recovery of the Great Depression. And obviously, you probably weren't alive back then. I wasn't. But that was literally terrible. It literally stopped the entire country and put it to a halt. And that is what could have happened with this pandemic. Things are pretty bad right now, depending on who you ask. But they're not nearly as bad as they would be if they hadn't passed 5 stimulus packages already. So they've already passed 5 of them. We have 2 checks. We have a third one on the way. Of course, there's a lot. The other packages had other things like small business support, paycheck protection programs, vaccine distribution, and things like that. And the other ones were much smaller packages. They were kind of like interim packages that were in there. So we have the third stimulus check on the way. It's passed the House, it's going to the Senate. Of course, there's a lot more in this package than just the $1,400 stimulus checks. We have $1,400 for adults, $1,400 for children, which is more than double the size that they got before, $1,400 for adult dependents and college student dependents who didn't even get a check the last time around. However, those checks will be going to the parent who claimed them as a dependent, similar to a child. If you have a child, the check doesn't actually go to the child, it goes to the parent who claims them. The same will be true for adult dependents and college students. On garnership and child support, the wording in the bill says that nobody will be garnered for any reason at all. So anybody that owes child support, their check will not be taken from them. We've seen kind of both sides. The first stimulus check, it went to the person who was owed child support. The second stimulus check, it was basically your check can't be taken from you. The third one is going to be the same way. Your check cannot be taken from you for any garnishments at all. I believe it includes IRS and tax garnishments too. So if you owe anything to anybody for any reason, you will be getting the third stimulus check. Of course, if you're on direct deposit, you'll be getting it much faster, literally within days. What you can do to try to speed things up is you can file your 2020 taxes now. right away. And if the IRS gets them, receives them, and receives it, and actually puts a stamp on it that it has been received, and that information gets in there quick enough, then they will use your newest tax return information for the third stimulus check package, your 2020 tax returns that you can file now. This will also be the same for the person who's claiming the child as a child support, or as a dependent, I should say, as well as there's $3,000 to $3,600 child income tax credit checks, or we call them child stimulus checks in this bill. That will go to the person who claims them on the most recent tax return. Okay, so if you have a split couple, mom or dad's claiming them, that is going to be the person who gets the $1,400 checks, as well as the child income tax stimulus checks. Okay, that's going to go to the person who claims them on the most recent tax return filed. So just keep that in mind. The child income tax credit checks is in addition to the $1,400, $3,000 for children 6 through 17. That will come in the form of monthly stimulus checks of $250 per month for 12 months, starting a few months from now. I'll be teaching you guys how to claim those when that becomes available. $3,600 for children under the age of 6, which is $300 per month for 1 year. And we also have Democrats already pushing to keep this a permanent increase. So this is an increase of the previous child income tax credits, which used to be $500, and then it was raised. Ivanka Trump was credited with a lot of the push to raise that up to $2,000, which is what it was previously, but you couldn't get it in monthly increments. You basically had to wait all the way until next year's tax return to get it. So now they're increasing it to $3,000 to $3,600. But instead of making you wait all the way until next tax return, not this tax return, but next tax return to get that, they're going to start paying you in the form of monthly payments, $250 to $300 per child starting this summer. And I think that might be a little bit better than giving people a big one lump sum for 2 or 3 kids like that, because you're less apt to blow it and more to use it on things every single month, like rent and food and stuff like that, and not just go to the casino and have a good time with a couple $1,000s or something like that. So it's just a personal kind of thought right there. But you can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. But the Biden administration says that this increase of the child tax credit, these monthly stimulus checks, will actually bring 54% of childhood poverty out of poverty. And as we know, children can't work, so or at least not up until a certain point. But this will bring 54% of children out of childhood poverty. We also have $30 billion of mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property tax assistance, utility assistance that I'll be teaching you guys how to claim once that new bucket of money comes available, as well as an unemployment increase of $400 per week starting in mid-March, even though they'll probably pass it before then. That is when the current $300 per week unemployment bonus kind of lapses. So this is going to go to the Senate. They're going to vote on it here. Well, we don't really know when they're going to vote on it. They could vote on it tomorrow. They could vote on it on Monday. We haven't got that wording yet, but they're expected to vote on it pretty soon. The real question is, are they going to try to change the wording in the bill? Are they going to try to overrule the Senate parliamentarian? Are they going to take it out? Are they going to go talk to Joe Manchin behind closed doors and be like, hey, are you going to vote for this package or not? And if so, are there any provisions here? Like, can we count on your vote? So they're probably doing that right now. And if he's saying no, they're probably saying, okay, well, what do we need to do for you to vote for it? And basically that discussion, which is probably going to happen behind closed doors, we might hear some snippets on it. I'll keep you updated. Or if Joe Manchin says something publicly, or Kirsten Sinema says something publicly, remember, they need every single vote in the Democratic Senate to pass this bill. So one person makes a difference. So I will keep you updated on all of that. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. It's completely free. To do so, click the bell icon to get notifications. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And share this video with your family and friends so that they can keep up on new updates, as well as the other things such as Social Security increases, student loan forgiveness, the child stimulus checks, and all the other things we cover on this channel. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. We had several people in our Amazon Facebook group today basically saying they were able to quit their jobs and they're making a plethora of money selling products on Amazon. So click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.